Tonight, we want to make you at home part of the program here. We're opening up our phone lines. In fact, right now they're open, the toll-free number. See it right there on your screen, 888-766-2428. Again, that number, 38766-2428. Get on the lines. We're going to talk about the president and the reaction to the president. Some people say he's going as far as being treasonous. Others say impeached. Others say slow your roll here a little bit. Let this all play out. People need to take a collective breath. What do you think about that? What should the reaction be? Are people overreacting, or are they not reacting enough? Also, the Mueller probe ramps up and new signs of complete disarray in the Trump legal team. Plus, the president's latest Twitter storm and an update on the Paul Manafort trial. Then a local pastor will join me on set talking about the issue of race in the age of Trump. He penned a powerful piece in today's paper. The Reverend's got a lot of things to say about how the black community is dealing with the president, and he's got strong words that may surprise you. Evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. You know, I'm gone for a week here, and it feels like a month's worth of news happens, but I guess that is the age of Trump. It's only Monday, and we've had a week's worth of news. It is likely to be another week filled with things that were once considered, frankly, unthinkable. Donald Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, he is facing 18 federal charges, including tax fraud and conspiracy. The jury, as we speak, still deliberating at the federal courthouse in Virginia. We will have the very latest if we get a verdict tonight. Manafort's former boss standing by him. Here, the president.
He happens to be a very good person, and I think it's very sad what they've done to Paul Manafort.
Almost every legal observer saying this jaw-dropping to have a president talking about an active, ongoing case potentially impacting the jury, what most would say the definition of obstruction. Now, as the Manafort trial continues, the Mueller probe keeps moving forward. The Times with an explosive report saying that White House counsel Don McGahn, again, the White House counsel, has sat down with Mueller's team for 30 hours on multiple occasions, totaling 30 hours, providing detailed accounts of episodes and meetings at the heart of this inquiry. Now, that caused Trump to explode on Twitter, saying all of these things from the last 36 hours. Now, I'm going to read you just a part of several of the tweets here because it's only an hour-long program. I allowed White House counsel Don McGahn and all other requested members of the White House staff to fully cooperate with the special counsel. The failing New York Times wrote a fake piece today implying that because White House counsel Don McGahn was giving hours of testimony to the special counsel, he must be a John Dean type rat. But I allowed him and all others to testify. The failing New York Times wrote a story that made it seem like the White House counsel had turned on the president when in fact it's just the opposite. And the two fake reporters knew this from the day I announced the Times has been fake news studying the late Joseph McCarthy, because we are now in a period with Mueller and his gang that make Joe McCarthy look like a baby. Rigged witch hunt, exclamation point. Where's the collusion? They made up a phony crime called collusion. If you fight back or say anything bad about the rigged witch hunt, they scream obstruction. Again, not me talking, even though I'm on camera. Those the president's tweets. Now, again, there's a lot to unpack with what our commander-in-chief said here. This shows just how dysfunctional the president's, forget administration, legal team is. His current attorneys, including Rudy Giuliani, apparently, as we speak, have no idea what McGahn told Mueller. And now they're saying maybe they shouldn't even include those 30 hours of testimony because it could be privileged content. Yet they gave him the blessing to talk. Apparently they knew. Now, they came out with this gem while making the rounds, did Rudy, talking about the case on Sunday.
And when you tell me that, he should testify because he's going to tell the truth and he shouldn't worry, well, that's so silly because it's somebody's version of the truth, not the truth. He didn't have a conversation.
Truth is truth. I don't mean to go like...
No, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
Okay. Again, truth isn't truth. This is 1984 territory, Orwell fans. Now, we've also heard Kellyanne Conway say that the White House has, quote-unquote, alternative facts, her words. Rudy and Kellyanne work for a president who's told more than 4,000 lies since he's taken office, and who's also said, we shouldn't believe, again, this is what the president says, we shouldn't believe what we hear or see, just believe him. Again, 1984 territory. Some of this is bizarre, none of this normal. Another thing that's unprecedented. A president stripping the security clearance of a former CIA director. He just did that to John Brennan, who had the temerity to be a critic of the administration. Now, that caused nearly 200 former top U.S. officials to rebuke and condemn the president, including, I should say, 12 former ambassadors, national security advisors, U.S. attorneys, CIA officials, and more, from administrations going from Reagan to Bush 41 to 43, as well as Clinton, Carter, and others. This was a bipartisan affair. Unbelievable in this day and age to have that kind of consensus on anything, but they did that in a rebuke to the president. Now, also unprecedented. We see something like this every day. Here's another thing we never saw before, but we do now. A plurality of Americans. I want you to think about this. The majority of Americans in 2018 believe our president, the president of the United States, is a racist. Now again, a plurality of the people asked think our president is a racist. Now, there's a lot of rationales as to why. I'll get on to that issue a little bit later in the program. I'll speak with an African-American pastor who wrote an editorial that you may have seen in today's paper, really powerful, about how the black community deals with Trump, how it should deal with Trump here, and how they need a voice. We'll also show you some of the lowlights of this president when dealing with race, and you can understand why so many people feel the way that they do, that we're really in uncharted territory, at least in the 21st century. Okay. So with all that as a big wind-up, I come tonight with you with a question, okay? And I want you to help me answer this because I honestly understand both sides to this issue. Now, for the better part of the past year, people have either been overreacting to the president or not reacting enough, depending on who you talk to. Some have even called for his impeachment or even said that the president's treasonous. Or there are people saying that, you know what, you're overreaching here, you're making every single issue a cause celeb, and then it's like Peter who cried wolf. Other people say, we're treating this as some kind of normalness when we're in the descent into something literally of a constitutional crisis that is really changing our democracy before our eyes. I understand both of those arguments. Now, I asked this question to you tonight, and you see the toll-free number. Please join us in the phone lines if you haven't, because I've had a unique opportunity in the past year to see a lot of this country. I'm talking about from the Northeast to the Midwest to the Deep South to the far West Coast. Heck, I've even been to Alaska. I've been in red, I've been in blue states. I've listened to both poor and rich and in between. I've heard from the uber-informed who live and breathe this stuff to folks who tell me the less I know, the better. I've been shocked at how angry this country has gotten, how many are willing to trust charlatans for their news, and how divided we have become as a nation. I can tell you the only consensus I can say tonight with any kind of certainty is that one man owns this simmering witch's brew, one Donald J. Trump, and he proudly does so. He lays claim to bringing partisanship and government distrust to a hyper-anabolic steroid level, and he does so with pride. We are in a never-ending loop of never-seen-before moments. I believe we are witnessing in real time an assault on democracy and an overt, if inept, turn to autocracy. But here is where the tricky part comes in for folks who say you need to panic and yell impeachment. This president's been stopped more often than not by the courts. A wide-ranging probe is underway that we tell you about every night, and special elections in places that always vote red have voted blue, and they've sent as enablers a warning shot in the year of the midterms. So, on one hand, I understand where people say we're heading for a constitutional crisis. We've seen a president who showed no willingness to pump the brakes on any kind of inflammatory rhetoric if it helps his cause and inflames his base. On the other hand, if we panic over every tweet, what are we doing when the real stuff comes down? does it all become white noise? Are we panicking enough, or are we not panicking is what we should? Is this new normalcy something that as a nation we should not abide by? So with that, I want to hear from you. And again, I don't think any answer on this question is a wrong one. Where should we be as a country? And how upset should we be? And what should we be calling for? Or do we let our democratic process run out? Do we believe in the courts? Do we believe in the Mueller probe and let the evidence fall where it may? 38766-2428 is our toll-free number. Sound off on where we are and where we ought to go. Stay with us.